Hi there. So I want you to take out your booklet now and fill out on the right-hand page what you have learned in each of these categories. You can just rate yourself in each of these categories. And take the sticker of each of those categories and decorate your character, you in this little booklet. Give yourself the superpower in empathy, collaboration, and motivation. We have a couple of activities, but before we go into that, what I'd like you all to do, you've been sitting for quite a while, so stand up. Just stand up out of your chairs just for a minute. You can stretch if you want, but just get on your feet. They say sitting is the new smoking, so we're at a healthcare conference. Let's make sure that we're not sitting all day as we're listening to and absorbing these tools. What we're going to do next is we're going to have the experts come back onto stage and answer specific questions, specific problems, challenges, obstacles that you have in your professional or personal life. Looking at these skills, looking at collaboration, looking at empathy, looking at motivation, and saying how can these tools, which are just tools that our experts have, but how can you apply them? How can you learn them? Because it's not about us. It's about all of us leveling up, all of us becoming agents of change. Feel free to have a seat or remain standing if you prefer. And make your way to the microphones. There's mics in both of the aisles, and our experts are going to be joining us on stage. Be thinking about, in each of these categories, what's something that you don't understand or something that you would like to work towards solving? Come up with some questions and then make your way to the aisles. And the experts, Adam, Amy, and Dustin, are going to be joining me on stage. So not a big line at first. I see a couple of people making their way there. I've also been collecting questions from Twitter. But maybe could someone raise their hand? Who had some questions from the experience of listening to our presenters talk? Raise your hand if you had some thought about, oh, this is something related to my company that you might be able to do, that you might be able to do differently. Yeah, I see a hand over there. If you just shout it out, I'll repeat the question. Vigorous notes. What's one of those notes? And I'm going to put the spotlight on you just a little bit, but what is one of... I'm going to pull from our Twitter questions as well. Excuse me just 1 minute. So we have a question from Twitter for Adam.
Of course.
What would your recommendation be as the first thing to do to be a more collaborative organization? Like the very first beginning baby step.
I would say invite somebody into the process. Whatever you're doing, invite somebody to do it with you. Right? As soon as you start to open up transparency, you really start to build that trust. Right? That, oh, my opinion is valued. They want me to participate.
Nice. This question is on Amy. This came in yesterday. Empathy is the foundation for our designs, but how do we practice empathy throughout our design process and multiple design projects? What are some examples of practicing empathy?
Right, it's a good question. So absolutely making sure, even if you have only one day to get with the people that you're designing for, make sure that you make that time and talk to people. So we'd love to spend months and months doing research to understand, the unmet needs and the emotions of the people we serve. But sometimes we can't luxuriate in that sort of research timeline. But we do like to do quick and dirty research just to insert that in the process so we can build empathy for the people we serve. And then, again, bring it back to them. They inspire your creative process, and then bring it back to them to validate and see, okay, did we really hit the mark with this? And I think Adam brings up good points, too, about having empathy for our coworkers and colleagues, because we're all in it together to try to make things better for folks.
Thanks. Thank you. So one last question. There's the mic. One last question for Dustin. Can you use extrinsic motivation to start people on behavior change? Like, is it possible to use extrinsic motivation just to start?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. So two things. One, if you think about it, people also say, well, can you use it to start, or can you layer it on, right? Is more better? And we'll amplify both. And no, it's actually, if you think about a scale, as extrinsic goes up, intrinsic goes down. It doesn't, it's not an additive effect. So I don't recommend using extrinsic rewards to hook people in. You're at the risk of undermining, again, that process of internalizing the behaviors that you're looking to accomplish, right? It's definitely a risky prospect. I wouldn't recommend it.
Nice. Thank you very much. So can I get one more rousing round of applause for our experts? We're gonna see them again. So if you want to make your way backstage, and then they're going to be coming out again shortly. What I'd like to do next is turn to the person next to you and introduce yourself, just as a place to start. We're going to make this a little bit more engaging the audience. You can scoot to the seat to the person next to you if you need to, but you're going to be engaging with them and sharing some stories. What I would like you to do, and we're going to start just with the skill of empathy. I want you to, one person decide you're going to be the storyteller, the other person is going to listen. And the person is going to share a story of a time recently where they struggled with the skill of empathy in their workplace, getting out of the taxi, getting into the cab, with your personal family. It doesn't matter what aspect that is. And the person listening is just going to listen with the attitude that Amy was describing. The reason that all of us are wearing these capes, we're becoming superhero agents of change. And change is a little difficult. Sharing personal stories is not something we're always comfortable with. So go out on a limb and share with your neighbor a story of a time recently where you were struggling to practice the skill of empathy. And listener, your job is to practice the skill of empathy and listen. So take 2 minutes and share with your neighbor. Great. So wrap up your stories. Bring your attention back to the front. I would like to do this, and I would give you the homework of doing this same thing in the other categories. We're not going to have time from the main stage right now to conduct you through sharing all of those stories. But it's stories of times when you have practiced the skill when you haven't, for empathy, for motivation, for collaboration, because these are skills that you can practice. These are things that you can get better at. Now, just by a show of hands, raise your hand if you've learned something, let's just say, about collaboration today. Raise your hand. Right. And raise your hand if you've learned something about motivation today. Yeah. And raise your hand if you've learned something about empathy. So to this same neighbor that you've been sharing a story, and we're going to be joined by Amy, our expert on empathy, our superhero of change. Share with your neighbor, just for 30 seconds, that story. What you've learned about empathy, the skill that you've upgraded today. So take 30 seconds to quickly share that story. Great. Now, can I get a couple of people to just shout out those stories? Just to a raise of hand if you're willing to share a little snippet of what that story is. I know this might be a little bit of a stepping out of your comfort zone, but if you'd be willing to raise your hand and share. Who has a story that they, I see a hand over here. Yes, if you speak it, I'll repeat it. Yeah. So let me repeat that. Even though he considers himself an empathetic person, he finds it difficult to relate to the quality of standards of people in your workplace. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story. And we have the crown of empathy presented by Amy. A round of applause. And that's something I think that all of us can relate to, different standards of quality, different standards in general, and finding that way to relate to that person empathetically. Thank you. Congratulations on your crown. So turn back to your neighbor and share one thing about collaboration that you have learned as a result of this afternoon. Take 30 seconds to share with your neighbor one skill, one tool that you have developed that you're going to take away, something that you've learned. Great. Can I get a volunteer to share one of those stories? Someone, a risk taker, there may be a reward in it for you, like this gentleman in the stunning hat and the crown of empathy. Who learned something about collaboration today? So raise your hand again if you learned something, if you're like, yes, I learned something. Yeah. Would you be willing to share your story? Nice. Yeah. So the key is that we often don't, that there are these challenges in collaboration. Thank you very much for sharing. And we have the cape of collaboration. Great. And you guessed it, motivation. What is one thing that you've learned that you've taken away about motivation? And share that story. Oh, we have a volunteer already here willing to share. I was going to ask you to share with your partner, but if you would like to share your story, we would love to hear it. Nice. So that it's very important to give feedback, that this is a part of the reinforcing process. Yeah, and often we don't. We forget it. We overlook it. Nice. Thank you for sharing that. And congratulations, you too, on leveling up. And for you, we have the wings. They tie into your shoelaces and give you the ability to fly. So thank you all very much for coming, for listening to these talks. And most importantly, again, it's not about us. It's not about our presenters on stage. It is about all of us as agents of change leveling up. You have these booklets. Continue to mark, notice how you've changed, how you've improved. The stickers that you added to your character, if you make your way at the end of the session to the Mad Pow booth and throughout the day today, one of our artists is there to draw you wearing these new superhero garb. So again, my name is Robin. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you all very much for coming. And traditionally, at the end of a talk, we would applaud our speakers. I actually would ask that all of you stand up one more time and give yourselves a standing ovation, because this is about all of us changing together. Thank you very much.